What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and I just got out of seeing a movie that released over the weekend, but I just now got to, called The Toxic Avenger. Now, it stars Peter Dinklage, who plays a down-and-out janitor for a number of reasons. First off, his girlfriend passed from cancer, leaving her son with him, so now he has to play stepdad to this kid, and they kind of have this strange relationship, and that pulls on the heartstrings emotionally. But to make things even worse, he's having issues with his job, which lead to him taking a plunge in a body of toxic waste, turning him into the Toxic Avenger. Now, this movie has been completed for a while. If I saw right, it was released in 2023 at some festivals, and my interest was always piqued with it just because I saw Elijah Wood with that weird looking makeup, and then I saw Peter in the costume, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And honestly, I was aware of the first one back in the 80s. I had no idea that there were more movies, but I have seen like posters and pictures of the one from 84, which this is a remake of that one. But to get back to the now, I enjoyed the hell out of this movie, and it's gonna make me want to go back and watch the ones from the 80s because I had a blast watching this film. It is definitely 100% a horror comedy through and through. So if you're not a fan of those type of movies, this might not be for you. We've had a lot of horror comedies released this year, and this is another one that I think is pretty damn good. It pretty much feels like a sci-fi movie with a really good budget, and it's a specific genre of horror that you have to understand to really enjoy it, because if you go into this expecting the popcorn horror or some of the more highbrow horror that's been released, you're not going to enjoy this, because this is not that. And while it is a horror comedy, it also feels a lot like a superhero movie, like a parody of what superheroes are. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some comic book, because that's one thing I really liked about the movie too, is it felt like a graphic novel in a sense. You get to know, Peter's character and understand all of these things in the first 15 minutes that builds up to the moment of transformation. And when you get there, it's just a joy to watch, seeing all the things that he's been through and also the corruption that's going on in the city. And if I'm not mistaken, the city that they're using is a made-up city, so it also feels real comic booky in that aspect. And one of the big aspects of the Toxic Avenger is that he does play somewhat of a vigilante, but just on extreme levels of violence that you don't really see in an everyday comic book movie. Like, he almost reacts like the Punisher when it comes to the type of violence that he dishes out. We're talking about heads exploding, decapitation, dismemberment, blood spewing on some Kill Bill level type shit. It's really funny and over the top, but it works for what they're presenting. And honestly, it makes me want an adaptation of The Mask, how those comic books really are. It feels like that version of the comic book brought to life, and maybe that's why I'm going to the comic booky side of it. But I really love to see such a kooky type of world with characters that feel comic book-esque but also be ultra violent. I think that that's super dope. And really, I think the level of gore is why it's labeled a horror movie. And of course, the way the Toxic Avenger looks also aids to it being a horror. Now, I gotta address the comedy part. Does it hit? Does it not? All of the comedy in this film I found to be funny. There is a sequence involving a performance at school that had me cracking up, touching my stomach because of how funny the music that was playing was. It made no sense at all. And there's high levels of satire throughout the movie, so if you are into that style of comedy, this will work for you. And then, as I mentioned with the acting, you have Peter Dinklage, who I feel does a really, really good job. I think he's able to really tap on the emotions in the beginning of the film. And again, not to say like this is a sob, tear pulling movie at all, because it's not that, but you actually feel the character and all the things that he's going through. And alongside him, of course, you have Elijah Wood, who plays kind of a henchman character, but just his whole costume and getup is ridiculously over the top, and he's funny on screen as well. But what I didn't mention is Kevin Bacon is also in the movie, and if you know Kevin Bacon, he leans all the way into this role as this rich douchebag who doesn't care, and it gets taken to other levels as the movie continues. So I really enjoyed all of their three performances in the film. So all in all, it is a bloody, violent, good time, and it's not OD either. I think the violence in this film is stuff that we've seen before. There was nothing that grossed me out, even though I know I don't get grossed out by much. But one of the things I was thinking about was like, how far are they going to take it? So that was a plus for me. It's right standard as to where high levels of violence would be in these kind of movies. I wanted to put that out there for anybody who is wondering. So if you've seen The Toxic Avenger, let me know in the comments what you thought about it, and do you get the comic book vibes that I'm getting? And if you don't know about The Mask and what I'm talking about, please look at The Mask comics and then report back when you see this movie, because I'm telling you, they really feel alike. So if you like this kind of content, make sure to like, subscribe, and if you already are subscribed, thank you. And until next time, peace.
RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.